Hey there, this is Sam Smith, realtor with JPAR, and I'm coming back to you with my first of many interviews restarting in 2023. What I had begun in 2020 when everybody was trying to find something to do during the quarantine, I started reaching out to a whole bunch of people that I knew, and Laura Naiser was my first guest back in April of 2020. So I thought it would be fitting to bring her back on and just find out what's been going on with her. Laura is a mindset and life coach. And when she and I first interviewed and first talked, she had started her business as Agape Soul Spa. Now she goes by, I think she still has the business going, but she's really focused on mindset and life coaching. Laura, tell us a little bit about what you do right now.
Yeah, so back in 2020, I was more of a general mindset and life coach for Christian women. And now my business has pivoted. At the beginning of last year, I made the official pivot, changed. I still have the same Agape Soul Spa LLC, but I now am doing business under Laura Naiser Mindset Coaching.
Okay.
And that transition came about pretty organically. Most of my clients by that point were already entrepreneurs. Most, but not all, were Christians. But everyone was like, they recognized that that's part of my identity. That's the lens through which I teach and stuff. And so they were comfortable with that, even if they didn't share that same view. And I just found that there were a lot of people who got confused by the Agape Soul Spa. They thought I had a spa, and it was just unnecessarily confusing.
Okay.
So as much as I loved that name, because it really kind of captured, the reason I chose that name is it captured kind of my approach, which is to make a safe space of unconditional love for my clients, to come in and kind of rejuvenate themselves, like refresh and restore their soul. And so that's still my approach. I am coaching now, though, mostly entrepreneurs. And so we do talk about their business and some of the ways they might be getting in their own way in their business, maybe not showing up the way they want to, not getting the results they want. And I help them with that. But we take a holistic approach. So we are looking at their whole life and how they balance being an entrepreneur with being a parent or a spouse, or, all the other things going on. Yeah.
Pretty much anyone could use help with that kind of thing for sure. Yeah. So I always liked the name Agape Soul Spa because I think, it really did describe what how you worked, ever since when I met. And I did go through like an intensive workshop with you when you were first getting started. Everything about, talking to you, working with you just was very relaxing, rejuvenating, and you're just so thoughtful. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about you, and every time I've talked to you in the past. And I think that's probably how you end up being successful with your clients. Can you give an example? I know that you said you had told me about a couple of the clients that you worked with recently, but can you give me an example of what kind of client you might have or be looking for? And start with that.
So most, but not all of my clients are women, and most, but not all, are entrepreneurs now. And they generally have a small business. They are lots of different kinds of businesses. I think the two I was telling you about, one is a dog trainer who specializes in helping people with aggressive dogs. A lot of her clients have rescued dogs, and so the dogs have a lot of mindset baggage. And so she helps her clients be able to help their dogs be able to live a happier, more well-adjusted life. And so and her name's Denise Mazzola, she provided me a testimonial, so I'm not divulging any confidential information.
Okay.
So she when we first started working together, she had been trying to take her really successful local dog business online because she wanted more time and location and financial freedom so that she could be with her family more and stuff like that. And she had been trying to do that for 3 years, I think is what she said. And she was really frustrated. When we first started working together, she had just launched her online, she had done a launch for her online program, and she got 4 people into it. So basically, it was probably break even after she took out all the expenses for ads and stuff. Really frustrating when you work that hard on something.
Yeah.
But when we started working together, a few months in, she told me, Laura, you have helped me do, in just a few months, what I have been trying to do for years.
Wow.
And really, it boiled down to, we found a few key beliefs that she had kind of running in the background that had her self-sabotaging and getting in her own way. And so as soon as we started to identify those beliefs that she was presenting to me as if this is just a fact of my life, and I was able to show her, actually, that's not a fact. That's your thoughts about these, objective facts. And so we were able to unwind a lot of stories that she had running in her brain that then had her getting in her own way. For example, with her, she would allocate time, she would plan time to work on transitioning her business to online and growing her online business. And then she would fill up that time with local clients. And so
does this sound familiar?
as we started to work through, basically I just have my clients talk to me, tell me what's going on, and I find the thoughts. Because that's really hard for us to do on our own. Things just feel so true, and we think they're just factual, but most of the time it's a thought. And so when you see that it's a thought and you understand that from a neuroscience standpoint, what we're thinking creates our emotional experience, and how we're feeling drives how we show up. And how we show up is what creates our results. So if you're not getting the results that you want to be getting, and you're not showing up the way you want to be showing up, where we really want to look is, what are we thinking and feeling about in that situation? And so by the time at the end of the year that we worked together, Denise did her launch. She sold 25 spots into her program. She made enough money in that one launch to pay for the entire year, over a year of coaching with me.
Oh, wow.
And so it was so exciting. What was even better was just to see the transformation and how much freer she felt, and how she was so excited to show up in her business. And she's just going gangbusters. She's going to change the world for those dogs and their dog owners. It's amazing.
I definitely need to get her website.
It's Everything Dog, and she's in New Hampshire, but her course is available, I think, worldwide. So definitely check her out. She's amazing. And so I think that's the story I told you. I have another client, I think I mentioned, and she and her husband run a very successful ad agency. And she's also a photographer. She runs multiple businesses, and she has small children, and she really wanted to cut back the hours she was working. She was working like 60 hours a week. They hadn't taken a family vacation in years. She was not getting to spend time on the hobbies that she really is passionate about. And she was really, burnt out when we started working together. And we also worked together for a year, but she set her goal for the year that we were working together to go from 60 hours a week to working 20 hours a week without negatively impacting her bottom line. So that was a pretty
That's
pretty
ambitious.
ambitious goal, right? She
Yeah.
hit that goal within 6 months of us starting to
Oh
coach.
my goodness.
Because again,
Wow.
there were just some limiting beliefs that were
Yeah.
running in the background that had
Mhm.
her overworking. And
Yeah.
so we were able to clean that up and really set her free to pursue her passions of her hobbies and stuff, help her get more focused on where she wanted to be showing up in her business and where she didn't really need to be.
Yeah.
And um, they were able to take their first family vacation in years and
That's
enjoy that.
fantastic.
And
Yeah.
so it was definitely a huge transformation.
Mhm.
Um, and we were able to get my clients start feeling better
Mhm.
really quickly
Yeah.
because I give them lots of tools for processing their emotions.
Mhm.
And once you know that your emotions are not just happening to you, other people aren't causing them, all of that stuff, you just
Yeah.
feel so much more in control of your emotional experience,
Yeah.
and you learn to make friends with your emotions. It makes a huge difference.
Instead of letting them control you, I
Yes,
guess.
I always say, like, our goal is to help you manage your mind and emotions instead of
Mhm.
letting them manage you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good saying. Well, there's about 3 different things that came to mind. One thing I wanted to say is it sounds like what you're talking it almost sounds like you're talking about psychology here, but you're not a counselor, right?
No, I am
Yeah.
not a counselor, and believe me, I have done a lot of therapy in my life, and so I am very conscious of where my, um, toolkit can
Mhm.
stop, like where and so I have a screening process as I take in clients that helps me identify, like, is this someone who is well functioning?
Yeah.
They're not in need of a therapist. And
Yeah.
there are certain, things, check marks and stuff that I'm looking for
Yeah.
to where if I think that, and I've had several clients that have come or people who've come to me, and
Mhm.
as we do offer like a free breakthrough session where we can
Mhm.
just kind of talk. And that is really important to me to do that so that I can assess are they appropriate? Are the problems they want to solve appropriate to coaching? Or are they
Yeah.
better served by working with a licensed mental health professional?
Right.
And I can refer them out and give them some resources if I kind of feel like, I think we should have you at least assessed by a licensed mental health professional. Because there's just and I always like the difference is
Mhm.
in coaching, I'm working with people who are functioning at a high level.
Mhm.
And if you have clinical depression or anxiety, which I have suffered from most of my
Mhm.
life,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
clinical depression, you're really like below a functioning level. You're having trouble showing up for normal day-to-day stuff. And
Mhm.
that is better served by a licensed mental health
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a start, a first step, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, a breakthrough session really gives you and the potential client, your prospect, an opportunity to meet each other
Yeah.
and to find out even if you want to work together. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
even if the mechanics would fit, or the criteria that could be
Yeah.
checked off, there always has to be a good personality fit, I would think.
Yes.
Um, because especially if you're going to be working with these people for a year,
Yes.
potentially, or,
Yeah, it's a
however long.
very close relationship. Most of the clients I'm working with today have been with me for 3 years, and that's
Okay.
not because they need like,
Yeah.
they accomplish their goals really quickly,
Mhm.
but they love having someone who holds space for them and gets to
Mhm.
listen to them
Mhm.
and, provide that perspective
Yeah.
that's so hard for us to get for ourselves. And so
Mhm.
once they get a taste of how it helps, they're like, yeah, I kind of want to keep going. And so we just find new things to work on. There's always
Okay.
something we can work on.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. Well, in addition to kind of finding those limiting thoughts and everything, it sounds to me like there's a fair amount of accountability that comes from like into play. I just have this kind of, I imagine that you're setting goals with people and then checking in with them on their goals.
Yes.
Is that kind of one of the things that you do
Yes.
as a coach?
Yes, and it's a little different than what most people think of when they think of accountability. And I will say that the particular coach training program that
Mhm.
I chose it because there's a lot of coaching that's really focused on, I'm going to hold you accountable for taking the actions we talked about you
Yeah.
taking. And that's not the main focus of my kind of coaching.
Okay.
There is accountability, but it's less about, hey, you got to report back to me kind
Okay.
of stuff
Mhm.
than it is knowing that you have someone else who believes in you, who knows,
Mhm.
who's able to like
Mhm.
express to you what they see as possible for you. So, like, a lot of what I do is I hold the belief that my client can succeed at achieving their goal,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they get to borrow from my belief until their belief gets rooted in.
Oh, interesting.
And
Wow.
so it's
Mm.
accountability, but it's a different flavor of accountability.
Sure.
In fact, I chose the coaching program, which was more of a like neuroscience-based
Okay.
program. And
Interesting.
it's called causal coaching is the type of coaching I do because we look at the root cause, which is always the belief that's
Okay.
running in our head,
Wow.
as opposed to coaching you just on your actions. So,
Mhm.
like, I have a model, a framework that I use in my coaching.
Mhm.
I developed it. It's similar to a lot of other frameworks that you'll find out in coaching, because it's a behavior chain. And
Mhm.
essentially, we have a context, like the factual, objective reality within which we are operating. And
Mhm.
then in that context, we're going to have beliefs or thoughts
Yeah.
about the facts.
Mhm.
That creates our emotion, and the emotions drive our actions, and our
Mhm.
actions create our results. And
Mhm.
in my model, because a lot of times we're working on healthy boundaries, I
Mhm.
have two other components, and it creates the acronym BEAR UP. And that
Okay.
actually came from my work in teaching boundaries from a biblical perspective. And so it's rooted in Galatians 6:5. We're
Okay.
each created to bear our own load. And
Okay.
that essentially means there's a certain realm of stewardship that we're designed to function and
Mhm.
be responsible for.
Mhm.
And so helping people get clarity about what you are responsible for and what you're not, the bear up our beliefs, our emotions, our actions, and our results. We're
Uh-huh.
responsible for those.
Right. Okay.
And then U stands for your person, like your
Mhm.
body, your person. And then the P stands for purview. And that's just a word that means something over which you have situational authority and responsibility
Mhm.
for. So,
Okay.
for example, as a business owner, your business falls within your purview.
Yeah.
You're responsible for making the decisions
Yeah.
about within it.
Mhm.
Your team falls within your authority and responsibility. So you get to set expectations
Okay.
for what they're going to do and how they're going to do it.
Mhm.
You still don't control their bear, their BEAR, in the sense that they have free will and
Yeah.
they get to choose what they're going
Yeah.
to think about it, how they're going to feel about it, whether or not they show up. But
Mhm.
you, as the employer, if they choose not to show up, you get to have some consequences for
Yeah.
them not meeting the expectations. And so, like, helping people get that clarity around, is this something that falls within your realm of
Mhm.
stewardship or your
Yeah.
model,
Mhm.
or does it belong to someone else? And
Mhm.
that right there solves a whole host of
Wow.
problems.
Yeah. I can imagine. And, just that training in itself, like that
Mhm.
awareness, I think would be so helpful for any number of people. But I can see where, like a small business owner, I don't know if you mainly work with sort of small businesses or if you
Mhm.
get
Small
into
businesses.
corporations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because especially small businesses, when you start out, I've been working as a realtor for quite a while, mostly by myself. I just started a new
Mhm.
business also as a health coach. Those are like my dominion type of my purview
Mhm.
as you're saying it.
Yep.
And so when there have been times like as a realtor where I have brought someone in to help me out, and it can be very hard to let go and let someone else do what they can do or what you hired them for example,
Yes.
in order to, it's just sometimes it's really hard to let go of that kind of control when it's your baby is
Yes.
basically. So,
Yes, and that is a very common thing that I coach my clients on.
yeah.
Um, we
Mm,
h we sift through the thoughts
mhm.
like, "My business is my baby," and
Yeah.
we start to question whether or not that thought is a useful thought. If
Mm,
if it's getting in the way of it may be true in the sense of, "Yes, I, like, birthed this
right.
business and I've grown it to the
Mhm.
point that now I need a team to help me in it.
Yeah.
But if there we can find different ways to reframe that so
Mhm.
that it feels equally true, but it's far more useful to
Yeah.
create the new results you're trying to create.
Yeah.
So the va my ideal client is someone who has an established business and they've reached kind of that first level of success that they were
Mhm.
shooting for. And
Okay.
now they're growing the business to the
Uh,
next level.
okay.
And so we see at that stage, a lot of the issues that come up are overwhelm and burnout because
Mhm.
they have been the solopreneur that's been wearing all the hats and hustling their way to that success.
Yeah.
And now they're exhausted and
Mhm.
overwhelmed. They're out of balance because they've been so focused on their business.
Yeah.
And their personal life may have some relationship conflicts and things as a result
Mhm.
of that.
Mhm.
Um, so overwhelm and burnout are two really common topics, but
Mhm.
also imposter syndrome and leadership in
Mhm.
how you go from being a solopreneur to an entrepreneur and wearing the CEO hat
Yeah.
to manage a team, hire a team, have your systems and processes in place. And
Mhm.
while I don't necessarily coach, I have enough personal knowledge that I can coach some on the tactics and strategies, but
Yeah.
that's like a minute thing. That's not the
Mhm.
focus. Like, really, it's on helping you embody being now the future version of you who
Mhm.
is that CEO with
Okay.
running a team very successfully and
Mm.
hitting that next level goal. And
Okay.
so we have to learn how to become that version of us
Yeah.
in the present. And what does that look like? And how are you showing up? And is that how you would make that decision once you're at that level of
Yeah.
success? If
Yeah.
not, then how could we adapt how you're making your decisions?
Wow. It sounds like
And
fun.
it
Sounds
is
like a
fun. We
fun
have a lot of
topic.
fun. It's not it a lot of people, I think because it kinda gets conflated with therapy, a lot of people think it's gonna be really heavy work. And while
Yeah.
sometimes, every once in a while, we will have a deeper kinda session, by and large, we have a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it feels really good to have someone else kinda hold space for you
Yeah.
and let you just verbally process things, talk it
Mhm.
out, um, and get equipped with some really practical tools and strategies for managing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that does sound very good. And so I guess that's changed a little bit because I think before you were more focused on the end, like an individual or a
Yes.
solopreneur type of person.
Yes.
Um, and I know you were doing some workshops and things like that. Of course, things had to change because everything got
Yes.
shut down. And so I was wondering, is there anything that did change because of that, pandemic quarantine
Yeah.
period? Is there anything that still remained from that or like about your business model, how you conduct business um,
Yeah, so I used to see, as you know,
yeah,
clients in
yeah.
person at my office,
Yeah.
and after the pandemic, I realized, like, it was actually it was more, effective and efficient for me and the client to just meet online. They didn't have the travel time. It was like they could just zip in, zip out on Zoom. We meet on Zoom. And it also allows me to serve them at a higher level because now I give, after each session, I have a transcript and an audio and a video
Yes.
recording I can share with them. And that's important in this kind of coaching because often I will tell the client, hey, I want you to go back and watch this little section of the session. I want you to watch your facial expression, your body language
Oh,
when
wow.
you're telling me that story. And I want you to see how that's impacting you, the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
And be able for them to kind of step outside of themselves and watch it happening is so powerful. And
Yeah.
then I take the transcript and the notes that I take during our sessions, and I go back through and I'll find thoughts that we didn't get a chance to coach on in the session.
Yeah.
And I'll pull those thoughts out and say, consider exploring this. And I will give them a few prompts or questions that they can then journal on and
Okay.
explore it a little bit. So it's
Yeah.
like getting a bonus coaching session.
Yes, so.
And most of my clients, there's a few that never look at that stuff, but there are some that they're like, I had one client, she emailed me after I emailed her link to get her after action report. And she was like, your notes are life. I was like, okay, I'm so glad you appreciate that. But yeah, so that's a really powerful benefit of us meeting online because I couldn't have all that if we were just sitting in the living room of the little farmhouse office where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I can definitely see a huge amount of value in that. Couple of things. Our minds tend to go a lot faster than our mouths do, and also faster than our ears. So being able to like go back and revisit that, I think that sounds like really valuable. And I will say that even before like when you and I met for that intensive, I think you had recorded it for
I did.
yourself to listen to it.
Right.
That I don't think if I have it, I don't remember where it is. But what I do remember is that you went through and you wrote a lot of things down, a lot of your notes and observations and a lot of the things that we talked about. And that was like, I think in 2019 or maybe the beginning of 2020. And just a few months ago, I started thinking, there was a lot of good stuff in there, and I dug it out and I started reading through it and I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. So, just kind of to have that refresher and think about, the things that we had talked about, which I had really, worked through a lot of that and made some amazing strides and improvements in the way I conducted business. And then I went to work for someone else for a couple of years. And so now getting back into, working for myself, it was helpful to go in there and revisit all those things and make sure that I am aware of what my weak points were and avoid doing that again. Yeah. Older and wiser.
Yeah. And that to me as a client, like I have a mindset coach and I get coached. I have a
That's
business
great.
coach and a mindset coach. And I love it when the coach does the heavy lifting for me. Like I don't have to take notes. I just get to be fully present and just blah, here's all the stuff and let them sort it out and do all of that. And that's what I try and do for my clients. I try to do the heavy lifting so they don't have to take notes. They don't have to come prepared for the session. Like they just get to show up and let me kind of take care of them. And I find that especially because I work with really high achieving, successful people who have a lot of irons in the fire. They've got a lot going on. Many of them are really feeling overwhelmed and they are stretched really thin. And so if it's one less thing they have to worry about and they have a place where they can just come in and let someone else take care of
Mm.
it for a while,
Yeah.
that feels really good to them. And
Yeah.
it's really useful because I'm going to see things that they would never even think to
Yeah.
take notes on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And facial expressions do,
Yes.
we don't, even when we're on a Zoom call, and even if we're like, I tend to monitor myself as well, but I'm not seeing how I'm explaining a lot of things, or and is certainly in an emotionally charged conversation like that, it can be very helpful, I would think.
Yeah.
One thing, I know we're kind of getting to, or we're at our limit, but if you have a couple minutes, I wanted
Yeah,
to ask one more question.
sure.
You mentioned that you have a mindset coach and that you have a business coach, but you're working with business people on their mindset. So,
Yes.
what is the difference? I mean, why
Yeah.
why would you need a business coach if you are working with you, or
Right.
vice versa?
Right, or vice versa.
Mhm.
So a business coach will generally focus, most of them focus on the tactics and strategies around your business. And so
Okay.
they're going to be working with you on setting your business goals,
Mhm.
but they may not, usually the business coach is not looking at your whole life. And so
Okay.
one of the things my clients really appreciate is I have clients who are working with a business coach and a therapist, and they have me, and
Okay.
they tell
Wow.
me, you're the person who brings it all together for me.
Wow.
You're able to hold all of those pieces together so that I can look at, am I setting a business goal
Mhm.
without taking into context the other things going on in my life? And
Yeah.
so am I doing a disservice to myself? Am I setting myself up for burnout because
Mhm.
I'm setting a goal in this vacuum and not looking at how is this going to play out with my family and
Yeah.
my health and
Mhm.
my, wellness and all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so that's one aspect of it. But also, one of the things I do is I've been hired by a couple of business coaches to be a mindset coach in their programs
Oh
where
my
they're
goodness.
focused
Wow.
on tactics and strategies.
Yeah.
But I come in and I'm focused on mindset and
Mhm.
helping their participants manage the thinking, their mindset, and their emotions so
Okay.
that they actually will go implement the tactics and
Yeah.
strategies.
Mhm.
And so the success rate in the program goes up because people are able to
Wow.
get the support to get out of their own way with
Mhm.
perfectionism, money mindset,
Mhm.
people pleasing, all of
Mhm.
those kinds of things. And then once we kind of get that addressed, or even stuff around hiring or imposter syndrome. When you
Mhm.
can clear all that away, then going and executing on those how-to strategies, like
Mhm.
how do I post on social media or how
Yeah.
do I create a sales page? All of that becomes so much easier
Yeah.
when
Mhm.
you're knowing what's going on here and here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Wow.
show up so much more effectively. So that's been really fun. So that frees the coach up.
Mhm.
One of the coaches who hired me, she's a phenomenal mindset coach in her own right, but
Mhm.
she gets to focus on the strategy and the tactics and holding them accountable for taking action and stuff
Yeah.
while
Okay.
I take care of the mindset work.
Yeah. Well, so you kind of do coaching within coaching
Mhm.
for that group, but do you offer workshops or anything like that?
Yeah, I have not been doing that as much in the
Mhm.
past year, but I do, I have a free workshop that is
Okay.
on demand that you can
Okay.
watch the recording of the live one that I did on
Mhm.
how to stop overthinking, and that's
Mm.
available on my website, lauranaiser.com. You just go to the Work With Me page and you'll find a link to
Okay.
watch that for free.
All right.
And I have a course, Finally Stop Procrastinating,
All right.
that's available on the website. That's
Mhm.
free as well.
Okay.
And I actually am in the process of working on a new workshop for overcoming overwhelm and beating back burnout. And I
Right.
have, I'm in the process of editing my little handouts and everything. And so
Yeah.
I'll have that ready hopefully by the end of the week. And I'll pick a date in which to do the workshop, but I'll have a free guide that someone can opt in and get for free. I'll have that up by the end of the week on the
Okay.
website.
All
Yeah.
right. Very good. Well, for anyone who needs, after this talk, sounds like, working with a mindset coach such as Laura would be a great fit for whatever your next steps are in your business, or in life in general.
Yeah.
As she said, yeah, she can work. It's not only about,
Business.
the
Yeah.
workplace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely learning to, working through balancing life and all of the commitments that are involved.
Yes.
She did mention her website, lauranaiser.com. I will put that in the description once I
Okay.
repost this video. And I just want to say thank you so much, Laura. It's always just a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, it's
Again.
such a pleasure to talk with you. You're such a good interviewer.
Thank you.
Make it
Thank
easy.
you very much. I just really appreciate you. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, definitely you can.
You can reach out to me on my website. You can go to contact me and leave me a
Okay.
message and I'll get right back to you. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for being here and thank you for everyone for watching.